What's the haps, alley cats? Welcome to Hat Hole Home Video. And on today's VHS review, we're taking a look at 1993's not quite a classic, TICKS, with all that glare. It was either this or Madballs, and I feel like we probably made the right choice. As usual, in an effort to preserve the video store going experience, I choose a movie to review based purely on this right here, the case, front and back. I don't look at Google, don't look at IMDb, don't look at your Rotten Tomatoes, your critics' Metascores, all that modern day stuff, which is certainly very helpful, but it defeats the purpose of the roll of the dice that going to the video store used to be. So let's take a look at this cover, front and back, and we'll go from there. So here's your front cover of TICKS. It's obviously not a super inspired cover. It's kind of boring, kind of generic, but I think the concept alone of killer wood ticks, we can forgive the sort of bland cover. Alright, the front cover did its job. It got me hooked. Let's read the back of the box, and let's see if it reels me in. That's the key. If the front hooks you, the back reels you in. Mammoth mutant killer insects terrorize a Northern California campground in this horrific tale of ecological disaster from the director of Hellraiser 2. A group of teenagers on a wilderness weekend encounter a swarm of giant predatory wood ticks mutated to terrifying proportions by growth steroids dumped into the water table by ruthless marijuana farmers. As one by one the Rangers begin to fall victim to the ticks' deadly hallucinatory venom, a brutal forest blaze breaks out, trapping the panic-stricken teens in their cabin. Surrounded by the vicious insects on one side and the fire on the other, their only hope for survival is to rely on each other, if they can last that long. The movie TICKS has two really great things going for it. It has phenomenal creature effects. The ticks look great. There are puppet effects, there are stop motion effects, and spoiler alert, a character who has the head of a tick burrow into him, who then injects himself with copious amounts of steroids to stay alive, eventually bursts open into a gigantic wood tick. All of these effects are so fun. The giant ticks themselves are puppeteered and animated with personality and character, and they are a great blend of simultaneously being cute and skin crawl inducing. The other great thing that this movie has going for it is B-movie legend Clint Howard as the goofy pot farmer. I shouldn't even say goofy, because it's just Clint Howard being Clint Howard. But he has a couple pivotal scenes in the movie where, obviously, as the back of the box told us, he is kind of responsible for the ticks mutating in the first place. He is the first victim of the giant killer wood ticks, and every scene that he is in, he steals the show. He is the best part of this movie.
Top notch.
What keeps TICKS from being a truly great B-movie? The creature effects and Clint Howard are what are great. And the reason they're great is because they're handled with that campiness, with that B-movie quality. The rest of this movie is, to its detriment, handled like a serious movie. The actors are really good actors. And the problem is, they're treating this movie like it is a normal movie. They're really acting. What Clint Howard seems to have known, that the other people didn't know, was when you're in a B-movie, you need to chew the scenery. You need to camp it up. And they weren't. And that hurts a movie like this. This is a concept, giant killer wood ticks, that demands a certain amount of campiness. No pun intended. And there is no scene that exemplifies the incorrect tone, like the dog dying scene. Now let me just say, even though I'm an animal lover, I don't care that much if the dog dies in a movie, but there is a way to handle it that is appropriate for this kind of a movie. And there is another way to go, which is the brutal, emotional way to handle it, which is how the director of TICKS decided to handle it. Carlton from Fresh Prince's dog gets attacked by a giant killer wood tick, and Carlton finds him in the woods. He is seizing, convulsing. They have a dog, and you know behind the scenes, it's just somebody underneath the dog, like pushing them up. If you're someone who can step out of the movie and see the behind the scene, you know, and think about making a movie, it's kind of cute, because you've got a dog sitting there that somebody's underneath, just like moving around, and the dog probably loved it. It was probably like a massage. In the context of the movie, it's really upsetting to see, followed by Carlton, Panic. His name's Panic in the movie. He says, they call me Panic because I never do. But they find Panic carrying his dead dog, and Alphonse, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but the guy who plays Carlton from The Fresh Prince gives this really heartbreaking performance. He's crying, and it's not played cheesy, it's not played for fun, it is just brutal and upsetting. You know, maybe you don't care about dogs, but that scene is a perfect example of how the tone was handled very wrong. Everything else is kind of by the numbers. You've got all of your stereotypical troubled teenager characters. You've got basically your main character who's sort of a agoraphobic nerd. You've got your, you know, street smart ghetto kid. You've got your roided out meathead. You've got your ditzy blonde rich girl. You've got the very troubled girl who never speaks, but of course there'll be a scene where now she talks to somebody. You've got your quote-unquote good girl who's sort of the chaperone, but she's like also kind of screwed up. All of your stereotypes are there, but ultimately, if Clint Howard or a gigantic wood tick isn't on screen, there is just no fun. The fun and the camp and the cheese are just bled completely out of a concept that should be filled to the brim. Like a tick filled with your blood should be filled with cheese and camp and splatter and just having a good time. And that is where it fails. But as always, that is just one Alley Cat's opinion. If you have seen TICKS, let me know what you thought of it. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I will see all of you Alley Cats on the flip side. Bye-bye.